What's up, guys? Welcome back to my channel, and in this video we are going to answer the 2021 mathematics Jamb questions. But before we jump into it, there are some points I would like you to note. The first thing is that exam bodies no longer set any new question. What they usually do is to simply go back to their question banks and get the previous questions and use them again. So studying past questions, of course, will give you an edge over other students that did not. Then the second thing is that this question we're going to answer is actually from the past question and answer series, popularly known as Q and A. Then finally, if you want to support this channel, you can click the subscribe button, like and share. So with this, let's go right into it. Alright, our very first question says the pie chart above represents 400 fruits on display in a grocery store. How many apples are in the store? So in this case, we have a pie chart here where x is unknown. That's the degree of apples, right? So the first thing to note here is that the total number of angles, or the sum of angles in a complete cycle is 360 degrees. So the first thing to do is to get the degrees of apples, then we'll now convert that degrees into number of apples. So now we're going to say for apples now in degrees. So we're going to say 360, right? Subtract all these ones. We have 100 plus another 100 plus 115. So now this one is going to be 360 minus 100 plus 100 is 200 plus 115 is 315. All this one in degrees, right? So 360 minus 315. Of course, it's going to be 45 degrees. So we have 45 degrees. So this is the degrees of apple. So now we have to convert this 45 into number of apples. And how we're going to do? We're going to divide it by 360 multiplied by the total number of fruits, which is what? 40 from the question, right? So in this case, we're going to say number of apples now will be 45 over 360, right? Now time is 400, right? So we have 0 can cancel this 0. Then we are left with 45 times 40 over 36. So let's use the calculator. 45 times 40 is 1,800. So all over 36. So of course it's 50. So it's equals to now 50 what? Apples. So remember that you always, in order to change from degrees to normal number, you divide it by 360 degrees, because already the sum of angles in this cycle is 360. Then you multiply it by the total fruits, which is 400. So now from our option, now the answer is B. So let's move to the next question. Right, the next question, that's question 2. The question says the cumulative frequency curve above shows the distribution of the scores of 50 students in an examination. We have to find the 36th percentile score. So now, if you will check the graph has been plotted, cumulative frequency against the marks in percentage, right? So now we are asked to find the 36th percentile. So from the word percentile, that's in hundreds, right? So now, since the marks are already in percentage. So we're going to look for 36 on this horizontal axis, then we'll trace it to the line, and from that line I will be able to trace it to the cumulative frequency. So anything we get, that will be our answer. So now if you will check, 36 will be here. Now in order for us to know this, the point now, it will be important for us to know the small boxes between these larger boxes. Of course, there are 10 small boxes between them. So now in order to do that, we're going to say on the horizontal axis. So we say that horizontal axis, now let's write it here. That's the mark axis, right? You want to know the small boxes because it's important for you to know it. So we're going to say this, pick the first number after the 0, which is 10. So you divide 10 by the number of small boxes, which is 10. There are actually 10 small boxes in between any large box. So we're going to say now 10 divided by 10. So it's going to be 1. So that means each of these small box on the mark axis, which is always in percent, which is measured in percentage, is 1 point, right? The value is 1. And same on the cumulative frequency. So we'll say cumulative frequency axis. If you check it, the first value here is 10, and as usual we say that there are 10 boxes in between, so it's going to be 10 over 10, which is 1. So every small box on the cumulative frequency axis is also 1. So in this case now, we are looking for the 36 percentile. 36, right? This 36 percentile. So in this case, let's trace 36 on the percentage score, because percentage is the same thing as percentile in 100. So now this is 30, then we count small boxes, 6 of them. So the 36 is here. If you count it well, this line, see it here, you trace it up to this. You can see it here. If you trace it with your ruler, you get this. And from this point now, you can use your ruler to trace it to the cumulative frequency side. So now let's use our ruler so that we can get it accurately, since it is objective. This is it, right? Then you trace it to the cumulative frequency. If you trace it, you can see it here. From here, you trace it to this point, then you find the point here. What is that point around that side? Of course, we say that this is 20, this is 20, and these are 8 boxes above 20, so it's going to be 28, right? So the 36 percentile is 28. So we say 36 percentile is 28, right? So let's see, do you have any 20? Yeah, so this is the answer. So let's move to the next one. All right, number 3 says 5, 8, 6, and k occur with frequencies 3, 2, 4, and 1 respectively, and have a mean of 5.7. Find the value of k. So of course we have, these are the numbers, right? And these are the frequency, and the mean has already been given. So now, how are we going to go about this? Of course, following the best method is, we usually use table, right? So the table, the first thing we always write on the table, the first column is x, right? So we write x. So if we draw the table, what is usually our x? Of course, our x is these numbers, this one's here. So in this case now, we're going to write them down. We have 5, 8, 6, and k. Then the next thing is the frequencies. We usually use f, right? Draw this down. Remember, it's objective. We're going to be fast. So now this is 3 because it's respectively 2, 4 and 1. That's these frequencies, these ones there, right? So the next thing is to get our f of x. We usually use f of x. We'll see the reason soon. So multiply, the meaning of f of x is x times f, right? So we're going to multiply the two columns together. So 5 times 3 is 15, then 8 times 2 is 16, then 6 times 4 is 24, and k times 1 is k. So the next thing is to find the summation of f here. So it says summation f is equals to, so we're going to add everything under f. That's, if you add the m, of course you're going to get 3 plus 2 is 5, 5 plus 4 is 9, and 9 plus 1 is 10. So we're going to have 10 here. Then the next thing is summation fx. If you add everything here, we're going to say 15 plus 6, 15 plus 16 is 31, and 31 plus 24 is 55. Then 55 plus k is 55 plus k. So we're going to have 55 plus k. Of course, you can't add 55 and k together because they are different. K is an alphabet while 55 is a number. So now, from the question now, we know that the mean has already been given as 5.7. So how can we get k now? It's very easy. Remember that the formula for finding mean is equals to summation fx all over summation f. So now what is this mean? The mean has been given as 5.7. So we're going to substitute is going to be 5.7 is equals to, what is this? Our summation f of x is 55 plus k, right? Then over, what is our f? Summation f is 10. So we have this. So balance this with 1 and cross multiply. This will multiply this, and this will multiply this, right? So if you multiply it, we're going to have 5.7 times 10 is 57, right? So we're going to have, so 5.7 times 10 is 57 is equals to 55 plus k times 1 is something as 55 plus k. So we're going to have 55 plus k. So we're looking for k, right? So we'll move this one to the other side, and once we know that when a number moves or crosses the equality sign, the sign will change. If it is negative, it will change to positive, and if it is positive, it will change to negative. So this one is going to be 57. Now this one is going to be minus because it has crossed the equality sign. Minus 55 is equals to k. So 57 minus 55, of course, is 2, is equals to k. So therefore, when we say 2 is equals to k, that means k is equals to 2. So we're going to say therefore k is equals to 2. So let's check our options. Of course, the answer is C. Let's move to the next question. Alright, question 4 says, what is the mean deviation of x, 2x, x plus 1, and 3 if their mean is 2? So of course we know that mean is same as x bar is 2. So what is mean deviation? Of course, mean deviation is how those values have deviated, how far they are away from the mean. So this mean deviation is given by, if you want to know how these values have deviated from the mean, is simply going to be the x minus x bar. So this x represent all these values, right? Then the x bar is the mean. So we're going to subtract the mean from each of these x. So how are we going to do? We're going to say, now the first one is x minus now 2, then we have plus, then the next one is 2x minus 2. Also the next one is x plus 1. So in this case I'll put it in bracket, x plus 1 minus the 2 also, then we have plus 3x, right? course the question there's 3x minus 2 also. So in this case we have x minus 2 plus 2x minus 2 plus. Now this minus 2 will open this bracket up. It multiply by this x and it will multiply by this 1. So 2 minus 2x minus 2 times x, of course, is going to be minus 2x. So this is going to be minus here. So it's going to be minus 2x. Then minus 2 times 1 is minus 2. So we have minus 2. Then we have our plus 3x minus 2. So if you check, some things will cancel because plus 2 and minus 2 will be 0. So we are left with what? We are left with x minus 2. Then we have minus 2 minus 2 plus 3 minus 2. Equate it to 0. Very important. In order for us to get our mean deviation, equate it to 0. If you equate it to 0, so of course we're going to have collect items. We have x and this is 3x, so plus 3x, right? Then we have minus 2 minus 2 minus 2 and another minus 2 here. We have minus 2. 4 of the 2 is equals to 0. So x plus 3 is 4x. So minus 2 plus minus 2, we have minus 2 minus 2 minus 2 minus 2. If you press your calculator, you're going to have minus 8 is equals to 0, equated to 0. If you're confused, you can use your calculator and check. Minus 2 minus 2 is minus 4, minus 2 is minus 6, then minus 2 again is minus 8. So in this case, we're looking for x now. We'll move this 8 to the other side. If we move 8 to the other side, of course, it's going to be positive 8 now because it's negative since it crosses the equality sign. So it's going to be 4x is equals to 0 plus 8, right? Which is same thing as 8. If this 8 will move to the other side. So we're looking for x, we divide both sides by 4. So 4. So this here cancel this, and 8 divided by 4 is 2, right? So our x now is our x here, right? Our x is equals to 2. So this is the mean deviation. So let's check our option. Do we have 2? Yes, D is the answer. So let's move to the next question. Alright, question 5 says, in how many ways can a delegation of 3 be chosen from 5 men and 3 women if at least 1 man and 1 woman must be included? So now in this case now, we have to look for all the possibilities that we will get in order to make a delegation of 3, and in that delegation there must be at least 1 woman and 1 man. So in order to go about this, we're going to say, so in this case now, we have 5 men and 3 women, right? So we have to choose we have to look for possibilities where the delegation of 3 will be chosen from both of this group, and remember that it must be delegation of 3. So now the number of ways to choose, the first one we're going to say maybe it will be 1 man with 2 women, making 3, right? So we're going to say number of ways to choose, or choosing 1 man and 2 women, right? So you can see that at least one should come from each of them, and it must be made up of 3 people. So now in this case, there's what we call combination. We're going to use combination for it. This statement now come with implication, and that is a mathematical implication. And what is an implication? The meaning of this is that out of for the men, out of five men, one is chosen. So we say out of 5 men, that's for this statement. Combination what? One is chosen. Then times for the women now, out of 3 women, 2 are chosen. So I will say out of 3 women, 2 are chosen. That's the first possibility. Then the second possibility is we have to look for all the possibilities. We have to choose 2 men and 1 woman. That's another possibility. So we say number of ways choosing 2 men and 1 woman. So if we do that, we are going to put it in mathematical representation that out of 5 men in this one here, you can see here 2 are chosen. So we say out of 5 men, 2 are chosen. Then times out of 3 women, 1 is chosen. That's this. 1 woman is chosen. So this is it. So we have to get this. After getting this, we get this, then we add them. Right? So we will have to add them. So now, what is the meaning of this statement? The meaning of this statement is, it means that for this one, this 5 combination 1, this implies that we have 5 factorial over this one here, 1 factorial into, then we'll set this 5 minus 1, then 5 minus 1 close factorial. That's the meaning. I will tell you the meaning of this factorial. Then we have times. This means this is 3 factorial all over. Then this 2 here is going to be 2 factorial. Then open bracket, 3 minus 2 minus 2 factorial. That is the meaning of this. And the same thing will happen here. We're going to say the first one here, that's 5 factorial over, then we have 2 factorial into 5 minus 2 factorial, then times 3 factorial, that's for this, over, then we have 1 factorial into 3 minus 1 factorial. So now this is a huge work to some extent, but if you understand what you're doing, sometimes this is object and you may waste a lot of time. So now, what is the meaning of this factorial over thing? So how are we going to solve? So taking this one now, we're going to take this one first, this part. Now, what is 5 factorial? This 5 factorial, the meaning of 5 factorial is 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. So from that number, multiply it downward. But yes, there is factorial on the calculator. So just press 5. Then second function, can you see there? So factorial equals to 120. So we're going to write 120 here. Then over, what is 1 factorial? Of course, 1 factorial is 1. So we have 1 into 5 minus 1. This 5 minus 1 is going to be 4. So what is 4 factorial? 4 factorial is 24. So write it here, 24. So this is going to be, then we have times, then we have 3 factorial. What is 3 factorial? This 3 factorial here. So we said 3 factorial is 6. So write it here, 6 over, what is 2 factorial? That's 2 times 1 is 2 into 3 minus 2 is 1, and 1 factorial is same thing as 1. So we are done with this now. Remember, we are going to add them together with this. So let's just put the plus here, a big plus. Then what is 5 factorial? So if this one here, so 5 factorial, 122. So we have 120 over, then 2 factorial, this one here is 2 times 1, which is same thing as 2, into 5 minus 2 is 3. So 3 factorial is what? Is 6. So we'll write 6. So we're done with this. Then the next one is this, right? So what is 3 factorial? Of course, we have our times. Then that's this one here. So 3 factorial is 3 times 2 times 1, which is 6. We don't need the calculator here. Over 1 factorial is 1 into 3 minus 1 is 2. So 2 factorial is 2 times 1, which is same thing as 2. So now this one is going to be equals to 120 over 1 times 24 is 24. Then times 6 over 2 times 1 is 2. Then plus 120 over 6 times 2. 6 times 2 is 12. Then we have times, we have 6 over 1 times 2 is 2. So now let's start the division. This is going to be 120 divided by 24 is 5. So we have the first one here is 5 times 6 divided by 2 is 3, and we have plus 120 divided by 12, of course is 10. Then we have times 6 divided by 2 is 3. 5 times 3 is 15, plus 10 times 3 is 30. So now this is going to be 15 plus 30 is 45. So this is the answer. So let's check our options. Of course, from our option we have 45, which is D. Good. So it's very simple. The first thing to do is look for the ways. After getting the ways, then find out the combination, which is this. After finding the combination of the various stages, then make them in factorial in this form. Expand them. After expanding them, then add them, right? So let's move to the next question. Alright, number 6 says, in how many ways can 9 people be seated if 3 chairs are available? So imagine there are 9 people and there are 3 chairs. How can these 9 people be seated on these 3 chairs? So this question is related to the previous question we've solved. So we are going to say, we know we have 9 people and 3 chairs. So we're going to use combination. We're going to say 9 combination 3. But in this case, we're not going to use the formula, that logic that we used previously. In this case, this is straightforward. This is actually going to be 9 factorial over 9 minus 3 factorial. That's the meaning. So what is 9 factorial? So this is going to be 9 shift then this here. Can you see? This is 362,880. So 362,880 over, right? Now 9 minus 3 is 6. So 6 factorial is 720. So divide this. 362,880 divided by 720. So it's equals to 504 ways. So it's 504 ways. So let's check it. Of course, B is the answer. So let's move to the next question. Alright, question 7 says the probability of a student passing any exam is 2 over 3. If the student takes 3 exams, what is the probability that he will not pass any? This is the most important thing. This will not pass, the not. So be mindful. So remember that the probability of passing any exam is 2 over 3. So passing is what? 2 over 3. So now, in this case now, we are going to find the probability of not passing an exam. That's one exam. Then, since it is 3 exams, then we are going to multiply them by 3 because and in probability means multiplication. So we're going to say probability of not passing an exam is going to be 1 minus passing of exam. So one thing you should note here is that the probability of something not happening is 1 minus the probability of that thing happening. So if the probability of getting A in an exam is 5, so the probability of not getting A is 1 minus 5. So always use 1 minus the probability of that thing happening in order to get the probability of that thing not happening. So in this case, we're going to balance this with 1. Remember, we're getting for only one exam, the probability of not passing one exam. So of course, we'll take LCM since the denominators are different. The LCM here is 3. 3 divided by 1 is 3, and 3 times 1 is 3. Then minus 3 divided by 3 is 1, and 1 times 2 is 2. So we have 2. So 3 minus 2, of course, is 1 over 3. So this is the probability of not passing it. So this one is for one exam. So now for 3 exams, right? Because the question said 3 exams. So probability of not passing. Now 3 exams is going to be what? Probability of not passing 1 and times means and. I think it's O, we would have used plus. So and probability of not passing another one and the probability of not passing the third one. So this is the probability of not passing 3 exams. Remember that you have to get the probability of not passing 1, which will give you clue. So now this is going to be, so 1 times 1 times 1 is 1, right? So we're going to say equals to 1 over 3 times 3 times 3 is 27. So this is the probability of not passing 3 exams. So do you have 1 over 7? Yes. D is the answer. So let's move to the next question. Alright, question 8. We have a table here. The question says, the table above shows the distribution of marks of students in a test. Find the probability of passing the test if the pass mark is 5. So now, if you have anything below 5, you have failed the test. But if you have anything above 5, it's actually a pass mark. So in this case, what I'm going to do, there's what we call sum of number space, right? So we're going to calculate the sum of number space, and the sum of number space is the total number of outcome, which is this. Are we there? So it's the total number of outcome. So now we're going to say the total number of outcome is total outcome will be what? Will be 3 plus 4 plus 1 plus 0 plus 4 plus 5 plus 2 and plus 1. So this is the total number of outcome. This is the total number of these ones appearing. So in this case, 3 plus 4 is 7 plus 1 is 8. 8 plus 4 is 12. 12 plus 5 is 17. 17 plus 2 is 19, and 19 plus 1 is 20. So this is 20. This is the sum of number space or total outcome. So remember that we are asked to calculate the probability if the passing mark is 5. So what is the probability? So now, as we say, the pass mark is 5. So this is the pass mark. So anything below here is not allowed. It will be fail, right? So now, how many 5 and how many marks, how many numbers do we have from 5 up? That's the question. Remember that probability is the number of outcome over total number of outcomes, right? So now we have, so since 5 is the pass mark, so anything from down like this is not included, is fail, right? So in this case now, we're going to look at those marks from 5 above, which ranges from here, this side to this side, and check their outcomes. Then we add them. So what is their outcome? So the outcome now will be 4, this one's here, only for the marks 5 and above. So it's going to be 4 plus 5 plus 2 plus 1. So 4 plus 5 is 9, and 9 plus 2 is 11, and 11 plus 1 is 12. In this case, we're going to say probability now of passing, which will be what? Above 5, is equals to outcome all over total outcome. So what's our outcome? Our outcome is 12. See it here? Divided by our total outcome, which is 20, right? So it's going to be 12 divided by 20. So 2 here, or say 4 here is 3, and 4 here is 5. So it's going to be 3 over 5. So this is the probability of passing if 5 is the pass mark. So do you have anything like that? 3 over 5? Yes, A is the answer. So let's move to the next question. Alright, question 9 says determine the value of x for which x into x minus 1 is greater than 0. So we have that x into x minus 1 is greater than 0. So in this case now, the best thing to do is to just see this as an equality sign, right? So if you see this one as an equality sign, remember that in quadratic equation, when you have x into x minus 1 equals to 0, you indirectly trying to say this one here is equals to 0 and this bracket 2 is equals to 0. So it's going to be x equals to 0 or x minus 1 equals to 0. So that's the same thing we're going to use. So using this now, you're going to equate this x to this greater than 0 and this entire bracket is greater than 0. So it's going to be now x greater than 0 or x minus 1 also greater than 0. So this one here, since it is in the form of equation, you have to move this minus 1 to here. If you move this negative 1, it's going to be positive 1, right? So it's going to be x is greater than 0 now plus positive 1, which is x greater than 1, right? Positive 1, which is same thing as 1. Remember, we still have our x greater than 0. So we're going to say x greater than 0 or x greater than 1. So this is the answer. So let's check the option. From our option, our answer is A. Right? Let's move to the next question. Alright, number 10 says find the range of values of x for which 3x minus 7 is less or equals to 0 and x plus 5 is greater than 0. So we have 3x minus 7 is less or equals to 0 and here we have x plus 5 is greater than 0. So now we're going to solve them as equation. In solving this as equation, we know that this negative 7 will move to this side and it will turn to positive 7. So this here we'll have 3x is less or equals to 0 plus now 7. So this is same thing as 3x is greater or equals to 0. 0 plus 7 of course is 7. So we divide both sides by 3. So by 3, divide both sides by 3. So this will go with this, right? So we have x here is less or equals to 7 over 3. Then to this side now, of course, this 5 will move to the other side, it will be minus 5. So it's going to be x less than 0 minus 5, which is x less than minus 5. So this is the answer. Now, but another way of doing this, we have to rearrange either this or this one so that we can write them on the same line. So in doing that, we know that when we say x is greater than minus 5, is another way of saying minus 5 is less than x. If I say a is greater than b, do you know that it's the same thing as saying b is less than a? If Mr. A is stronger than Mr. B, that means Mr. B is what? Is less stronger or is weaker than Mr. B, right? So it's just another way of putting it. So if that's the case now, you can put this one as O minus 5 now is greater than x. So since it is greater than x, we can now use it, we can place them on the same line, these ones. So placing them on the same line now, I can say that my answer now will be minus 5 less than x, which is this. Then we still have the x here. You can see that it's the same x, right? So we don't need to write it. Then we said less or equals to 7 over 3. So this is the answer. It's just for us to rearrange them, right? So let's check the answer. Minus 5 less than x less or equals to 7 over 3. So the answer here is right. So let's move to the next question. Alright, question 11. The question says the sum of the first n terms of arithmetic progression is given by 5, 11, 17, 23, 29, 35 is. So now the first thing to note here is that this is asking us of the sum of AP. So the question is, what's the formula for calculating the sum of AP? The formula is the sum of AP is given by S, and the sum of n term is equals to n over 2 into, open a curly bracket, 2a plus into n minus 1 d, then close bracket, where our a, as we know, is the first term. Then n is the number of term, that's the n term, and our d is the common difference. So if that's the case now, from our question now, we know that our first term is 5, right? So this place is 5. Then our n term is still n. Can you see? It's still n. We are not given. So this place still n, right? Then finally, our common difference is, we're going to say 5, we're going to say 11 minus 5. We'll simply subtract the first term from the second term. So 11 minus 5 will be, this one will be 11 minus 5, which is 6. So that's our common difference. So substituting this is going to be our n over 2 into 2. What is our a? Our a is 5, right? So it's going into 5, then plus into our n is still n minus 1, and our d now is now 6. We're putting our d at 6, so this is 6. Close the curly braces, right? So this one is going to be n over 2 into 2 times 5 is 10 plus into n minus 1, 6. So the next thing is to open this bracket. This 6 will multiply by this n, and it's going to multiply by this one. And if this one opens up, we're going to have n over 2 into 10 plus, now it's going to be 6 times n is 6n, then minus 1 times 6 is minus 6. So we have something like this. Now you can see that we can collect like terms. We have number here and number here. So if you collect like terms, we're going to have n over 2 into now 6n. Now this one will be 10 plus 10 minus 6, since they are both numbers. So we are finally going to have something like this: n over 2 into 6n, then plus 10 minus 6 is plus 4, right? So now the next thing is to check, what do these ones have in common, so that we can factor it out. Of course, they have 2 in common. Since they have 2 in common, we're going to say that this is something as saying n over 2. Since they have 2 in common, we bring out the 2. Now we remember that it's times between them. This, what is between them here, is times. So it will be times, bring out the 2 into, now it will be 3n plus 2. Why? Because 2 times 3n will give us 6n, right? And 2, the same 2 times 2 will give us 4. So in this case, we're going to have something like this. So what do you think will happen? The next thing, these 2 will cancel these 2. So we're left with only this n here with this bracket. So it's going to be n into 3n plus 2. So this is the answer. So let's check our option. From option, the answer is B. Very simple. Let's move to the next question. Number 12. The question says, find the sum of infinity of the following sequence. So we have this sequence here. But one thing you should know from this question is that these are actually arranged in geometrical way. if you can see from the question, they are actually arranged in geometrical pattern. So since they are arranged in geometrical pattern, indirectly the question is trying to tell us that we should find the sum of infinity of GP. So sum of infinity of GP. So now, what is the formula for finding the sum of infinity of GP? Is given that by S infinity is equals to the first term all over 1 minus the common ratio. So here we know that A is the first term, and from our question, our first term A is 1, right? So which is 1. Then our R is always known as the common ratio. And how do we find the common ratio? Of course, we divide the second term by the first term. So we're going to say this is same as 9 over 10 divided by 1, right? This is the second time divided by the first time. Balance this with 1, which is same thing as, how we're going to go about this? We'll take the reciprocal. It will be 9 over 10. And if you take the reciprocal, you know that it's going to be 1 over 1. Turn this one upside down, which is same thing as 1 over 1. So now, if you multiply this, of course, 9 times 1 is same thing as 9. So it's same thing as 9 over 10. Right? So now, substituting it into this formula, what is our A? Our A, of course, is 1. So we have 1 over, then we have 1 minus, what is our R? This is our R. So 9 over 10. We have this. So balance this one with 1. What is 9 over 10? What is this? Try solving this denominator. If you solve the denominator, let's solve it here. Say denominator, which is 1 over 1 minus 9 over 10. So take the LCM because the denominators are different. If the denominators were the same, we would just subtract it, the numerator straight. So what's the LCM is 10. 10 into this one is 10, and 10 times 1 is 10. Then 10 into 10 is 1, and 1 times 9 is 9. So this is going to be 10 minus 9 is 1 over 10. So this is our 1 minus 9 over 10. So coming back here, this one is going to be equals to 1 over, we've solved this one here to be this. So 1 over 10. So another way of writing this is same as 1, since it is 1 divide by. So it's same as 1 divided by 1 over 10, which is same thing as, if you balance this one with 1, take reciprocal. If you take reciprocal, it's going to be 1 over 1 times, change this one to times, and this one will turn upside down, will be now 10 over 1. We same thing as 10 times 1 is 10 over 1 times 1 is 1, and 10 over 1 is same thing as 10. So the answer is 10. From our option 1, the answer is D. Good. Let's move to the next question. Right, question 13 says, if m asterisk n is equal to n minus into n plus 2 for any real number m and n, find the value of 3 asterisk into minus 5. So we have here m asterisk n is equals to n minus into n plus 2. So remember that the question says the value of 3 asterisk into minus 5. So From here, it's very easy. You will make this one here, this m to be 3, and this n now will be minus 5, right? So that's it. So you can say that our m now is 3 and our n is minus 5. So if that's the case, we're going to substitute this into this formula, right? So now if you substitute it, it's going to be, we have m asterisk n is equals to, what is our n? Our n is minus 5. It's going to be minus 5 minus into, what is our m? Our m is 3 plus 2, right? So this equals to minus 5 minus into 3 times 3 plus 2, of course, is 5. So this is 5. So this is equals to minus 5 minus 5, which is equals to minus 10. So that's our answer. So the answer here is C, right? So just equate it. This one will be the first number here, and this one here will be the second number. So let's move to the next question. Alright, question 14. The question says the binary operation asterisk is defined on the set of integers such that we have p asterisk q is equals to pq plus p minus q, right? We should find 2 asterisks into 3 asterisks 4. So how are you going to go about this? The first thing to do is related to, it's almost the same with the previous question, but this one here, there are 3 numbers. So we're going to first assign this p and q to the numbers in the bracket first. So now we say now for 3 asterisks 4, the ones in the bracket. So if we assign that, that means therefore p now will be 3 and q will be 4 in this case. So we'll substitute it into this equation. So we have that p asterisk q now will be, what is our p? Now will be 3 times q now 4. Then we have plus, what is our p? Now 3 minus our q 4. So this one is going to be 12. Then plus 3 minus 4 is minus 1, which is 11. So we have gotten that this place now here, entire is 11. So now the next one now is going to be now it's going to be 2 asterisks and 11, no more 3 and 4, because we've already solved this one to be 11. So it's going to be 2 asterisks now 11. It's no more asterisks 3 and 4 because we've solved that of 3 and 4. So if that's the case now, p now, therefore p now will be 2 and q will now be 11, right? So let's substitute it. It's going to be our p asterisk q is equals to pq plus p minus q will be equals to, what is our p now? Will be 2 times our q 11 plus p now is 2 minus 11, right? So this is sent as 22, then plus 2 minus 11 is minus 9. So 22 minus 9, which is equals to 13. So this is the answer. So let's check the option. Answer is B. So that's it. Let's move to the next question. Alright, question 15 says if Q is equal to this matrix, right? We have to find the determinant of Q. This is the meaning of determinant. We have to find the determinant. So we have Q
equals to this. So we have to find the determinant of Q. This is the meaning of determinant. So now, how can we find the determinant of Q? You are going to simply multiply the diagonal, that's cross multiplication. You multiply this by this, then subtract it from this by this, right? So we're going to say 9 times 4 minus 7 times minus 2. So this is going to be 9 times 4, then minus 7 times minus 2. So 9 times 4 is 36. Then we have minus times minus is plus. 7 times 2 is 14. So 36 minus 14 is 22. So this is 22. So that's it. So our answer is C. Let's move to the next one. Alright, question 16. It says if P is equals to this matrix, right? We've been given the matrix. Evaluate X if the determinant of P is minus 10. So this is the determinant. So whenever you see this line in matrix, it's trying to tell you that is the determinant. So in this case, and since the determinant has been given, we are going to find the determinant of this matrix, then we equate it to the minus 10 that has already been given. So now we know that P is equals to this matrix. Right, and we were given that we are already given that P, the determinant of P is equals to minus 10. So now let's find the determinant of P. In finding the determinant, of course, we know that we're going to multiply them diagonally. We're going to say this times this one here minus this times this. So then we equate it to minus 10. So of course it's going to be open a big bracket. We have x plus 3 times what? X minus 1. X minus 1. Then we have minus, open another bracket. We have x plus 1. That's this. Multiply by this, right? And we have x plus 2. We now equate it to this determinant because that's the determinant given as minus 10, right? So in this case, we open this bracket, this x will multiply by this x and it's going to multiply by this minus 1. Then this 3 will multiply by this x and this minus 1 too. The same thing will happen here. This will multiply by this and this 2. Then this one will multiply by this and this 2. So let's open the bracket. Of course, x times x is going to be x squared. Then x times minus 1 is going to be minus x. And 3 times x is plus 3x. Then 3 times minus 1 is minus 3. So we have this, close the bracket. Then we have a minus sign. Then x times x here is x squared. Then x times 2 is plus 2x. Then 1 times x is plus x. Then 1 times 2 is plus 2. So we have this equals to minus 10. So in this case, we are going to add those x. These ones, since they are the same, we can manipulate them. So in that case, we're going to have into x squared minus x plus 3. X is, of course, 2x, right? That's just like minus 1 plus 3. So that's plus 2x minus 3. Then we have minus into x squared. Now we have 2x plus x is 3x, so plus 3x now plus 2 is equals to minus 10. So now this minus sign means we're going to open this bracket up with this minus sign. So that means this minus sign is going to multiply all through those in the bracket, these numbers in the brackets. It's going to be x squared plus 2x minus 3. So minus times x is minus times x squared is minus x squared. Then minus times 3x is minus 3x. Then minus times 2 is minus 2. Now equals to minus 10. So is there anything that can cancel? Of course, yes, because 2x squared here minus x squared is going to be 0, right? Because this is positive and this is negative. So it's going to cancel out and we are going to have 0. Then what we have left? We have 2x. Then we have minus 3x here since both of them are x. So we have minus 3x. Then we have minus 3 here and minus 2. So minus 3 minus 2, right? Minus 3 minus 2 now is equals to minus 10. So 2x minus 3x, of course, is minus x, right? Because it's just like 2 minus 3 is minus 1. So this is minus x. Then minus 2 minus, then minus 3 minus 2 is minus 5. So we're going to have minus 5 is equals to minus 10. So what I'm going to do, we collect like terms. That means this minus 5 will move to the other side. And once it moves, it's going to be positive 5, right? So we have minus x is equals to minus 10 plus 5. So this one is going to be minus x is equals to minus 10 plus 5 is going to be minus 5, right? So divide both sides by minus 1 so that we can cancel this minus sign here. So we divide both sides by minus 1. Minus 1. Some will say divide both sides by minus sign. It's all the same. So this will cancel this. So this minus will cancel this minus. So therefore, our x is equals to 5. So in the option now, the answer is going to be D. So let's move to the next question. Number 17 says, what is the size of each interior angle of a 12-sided regular polygon? So in this case, we have that the polygon is 12-sided, right? So the first thing to do is to calculate the total number of angles in that polygon. Then we'll divide it by these 12. If we divide by this 12, of course, we're going to get the size of each interior angle. So now we know that there is a formula to calculate the sum of angles in a polygon, and the formula is given by n minus 2 into 180 degrees, right? So if that's the case, what is n? N is the number of sides, and therefore our n now is equals to 12 because we're given that it's 12-sided. So this one is going to be 12 minus 2 times 180 degrees. So 12 minus 2, of course, 12 minus 2 is 10. Then 10 times 180 degrees is equal to 1800. So this is the total angles. The total angles in the polygon. So now, in order to get the size of each interior angle, so each interior angle is given by n is given by 1800 divided by n. Can you see? So which is going to be 1800 divided by, what is our n? 12. So 1800 divided by 12 is actually 150 degrees. So this is equals to 150 degrees. So that means our answer is B. Let's move to the next question. Number 18 says a circle of perimeter 28 centimeter is opened to form a square. What is the maximum possible area of the square? So from this now, it's trying to tell you that the perimeter of the circle is 28 centimeters, which has been given, is the same thing with the perimeter of that square that will be formed. So now, from the question now, indirectly, it's trying to tell you that the perimeter of cycle is equals to the perimeter of the what? The square. That's the meaning. So we already know that the perimeter of the circle is 28 centimeters, right? So in this case, now, that means the perimeter of the square is also 28 centimeters. So we're going to say P here is 28 centimeters, which is same thing as the one here. Since the perimeter are the same, so both of them are 28 centimeters. So, but in this case, we are asked to find the area of the square. So remember that the area of a square is given by what? Is given by L square, right? Is given by L square. But the question is, do we know this L? Of course, no. So we're going to get this L from this perimeter, since the perimeter has been given. So we said for L now, to find L, we're going to say, we know that the perimeter of a square is given by perimeter of square, right? It's given by what? It's given by 4 times L. That's 4L, right? And this perimeter of square has already been given as 28 centimeters. So we're going to say this is what? 28 centimeters is equals to 4L. You know, 4 times L is 4L. So in order to get L, we divide both sides by 4. So this is by 4 by 4. So this 4 cancel this, and you have 28 divided by 4. Is 7, right? So this 4 here is 1, this 4 here is 7. So therefore our L will say, therefore our L is equal to 7. But we are looking for the area. Remember that the area is what? L square, right? So now we can, since we've gotten our L, we can now substitute it. So now the area is equal to L square, which is same as area is equal to L. What is our L? 7 square, which is 49 centimeter square. So this will be the area, right? Because 7 square is 7 times 7, 49. So from our option now, the answer is B. So let's move to the next question. Alright, number 19. The question says a chord of a cycle of radius 7 centimeters is 5 centimeters from the center of the circle. What is the length of the chord? So from the question now, we can deduce that the chord is of a radius 7 centimeters. So the radius now is 7 centimeters, and the length of the chord, right, is 5 centimeters from the center, and the distance from the center to that chord is 5 centimeters. So let's make it D. The distance from the center to the chord is 5 centimeters. So let's represent this one on a cycle. So we have a cycle like this. So from the question now, let's assume this is the center of the cycle here. And if this is the center of the cycle and there's a radius 7 centimeters and a chord, and you know a chord is not from the center. Remember the distance from the chord to the center is 5 centimeters. So that means the line is going to be somewhere here. We have a line here. If we have a line here, that means the distance from this point here to this chord here is 5 centimeters. So you can use a line to represent it. This is now 5 centimeters here. And the radius, you know, radius is a point from the center to any point of the circumference. So from here to here is radius, and also from here to here can be radius. So if that's the case, we have, then that means this place is 7 centimeters and this place is also 7 centimeters. So now the question asks us, what is the length of the chord? That means we should calculate the distance from here up to here, right? Length of the chord. So but in order to get this, we're not going to get the length of the chord directly. Since we have a right angle triangle already, from this you can see this one here like this is a right angle triangle. So since we have a right angle triangle, we can bring it out here. We have something like this. This is a right angle triangle, and we have 7 centimeters here, and here is 5 centimeters. So this is the hypotenuse and this is the opposite. So with this now, you can get this place. Remember that this place here is half of the chord. It's just like from here to here, right? So after getting, we're going to multiply it by 2 so that we can get the total length of the chord. So in that case, we're going to say using what? Using Pythagoras. So we're going to find x here using Pythagoras theory, which says the square of the hypotenuse is equal to the square of the opposite, that's the hypotenuse rule, plus the square of the adjacent. So this is the hypotenuse, of course, so square of it, so we substitute, is going to be 7 square is equals to, what is the opposite? 5 square, right? Which is 5 now square, plus with this x now is the adjacent, which is x square. So we are looking for x. So this one here can move to this place to its folio number, right? So it's going to be 7 square minus 5 square is equals to now x square. So another way of writing it is you can rearrange it to be x square equals to 7 square minus 5 square. Is the same thing. I just rearrange it. So now 7 square is 49. We have x square. Then minus 5 square is 25. So this is going to be x square equals to 49 minus 25 is equals to 24, right? So this is 24. So remember, we are looking for x, not x squared. So we take the square root of both sides. We take the square root of both sides. This cancel this. Now we are left with what? We are left with now x. Since 24 is not a perfect square, we are left with x is equals to the root of 24. But with this now, we can simplify this in terms of sort. That means we can break this one further. We'll look for a number that is a perfect square. That will, if you multiply, will give us 24. What is that number? Of course, we have 4 times 6. 4 times 6 is 24. So this one is something as saying the root of 4 times 6. Remember sort, the root of sort, right? Which is something as saying the root of 4 times the root of 6. And the root of 4 is 2, right? So this is 2 times root 6 is root 6. So this is our x now. Remember that this is the same thing as this. We just solve it in short form, right? So now, remember that the question said we should find the length of the chord. And we have gotten this place, this x here, as 2 root 6. And this is half of it. So in order to get the full, we're going to set times 2, right? So we're going to multiply it by 2. If you multiply this one by 2 now, multiply it by 2, what are we going to have? Of course, this 2 now is not going to multiply by this 6, this root 6, but it's rather going to multiply by the 2 here, these 2 here. So if we multiply it, of course, we're going to have 4 root 6, right? So our answer here, let me write it here. Our answer is 4 root 6. So this is the answer. So from our option now, the answer is A. Very simple, right? So let's move to the next question. So question 20 says a solid cube. Question 20 says a solid metal cube of side 3 cm is placed in a rectangular tank of dimensions 3, 4, and 5 centimeters. What volume of water can the tank now hold? So now from the question now, we know that we have a cube, and this cube here, this, don't worry about my drawing, we have something like this. So this is a cube, right? And a rectangular tank, while a rectangular tank, of course, we know that it's going to be something like this. So this is it. So now for this cube, we said the side is 3 centimeters. Of course, we know the cube, all the sides are the same or they're equal, so 3 centimeters. But for the cuboid, we have 3, 4, and 5. So it's trying to tell you that is the length, which is always the longest side, is 5, then 5 centimeters. Then we have this one here might be 4 centimeters, and this one here might be 3 centimeters. Let's assume, but that's the meaning. Okay, so now the question says a solid metal cube of 3 centimeters is placed in a rectangular tank of dimension. So this cube was placed inside this. Can you see? Since it's placed inside, what is the volume? What volume of water can the tank now hold? So if you put this cube inside this tank, of course you know that it's going to fill a specific space. So the space now, of course, where the space the space it filled up, the space that this rectangle fill, the space that this rectangle, the space that this cube, metal cube occupy, water will not be there. So the leftover now will be where the water will stay. So if that's the case, we have to get the volume of this tank, this rectangular tank, then we get the volume of this cube. After getting the volume, we'll subtract it. If we subtract, the leftover now will be the volume of the water. So now what is the volume of square? The volume here is given by L cube, while this one here, the volume is given by length times breadth times height. So now this one is going to be, what is L is 3, so 3 cube, so 3 times 3 times 3 is equals to 27, right? This, so this is 27 centimeter now cube because it's volume. Then this one is going to be 5 times 4 times 5 times 4 times 3. So if we multiply this, 5 times 4 is 20. 20 times 3 is 60. So this is 60 centimeter cube. What rubbish is this? So this is the volume of the tank, and this is the volume of the cube. So by the time we want to get the volume of water, so this one will be volume of water now will be that of the what? The tank minus the cube, which will be 60 minus 27, right? And 60 minus 27, of course, is going to be 33 centimeter cube. So this is 33 centimeter cube. So this is the volume of the water. So the answer is going to be B. Let's move to the next question. Alright, question 21. The question says the perpendicular bisector of a line xy is the locus of a point A whose distance from x is always twice its distance from y. B, whose distance from y is always twice its distance from x. C, which moves on the line xy. D, which is equidistant from point x and y. So now let's assume this is trying to talk about, when we talk of bisector, that point is dividing line xy at the center. So let's assume you have a straight line. Let's assume this is a point here and this is a point here. Can you see? So this is x and this is y. Let's assume you have this and you have to bisect this. If you bisect it, of course, you know you're going to use a compass. You open the compass, put it at the point x to any point and strike an arc at the top. And also strike an arc at the bottom. Carry the same thing and put it on y. Strike the same arc from at the bottom and also at the top. Now use a ruler. All this we know is object, but I'm trying to show you the reality in it so that you understand it better. So use a ruler, place it on the line, right on the two lines. Yeah. So use your pencil, draw a line. So you can see that this is a bisector. This one here, let's make it M. So this is a bisector. So now what do you think will happen between x and y? Of course, if you measure it, it's going to be the distance from here, from x to y, from x to M, to this point here, this M. Yeah, let's make this one N. The distance from this x to this place is equal to the distance from here to this place. Can you see? So that is the assumption. So if that's the case, now our answer will be D, because which is equidistant from the points x and y. Simple. So the answer is D. Let's move to the next question. Alright, question 22 says the midpoint of P, which is x and y, and Q is 8 and 6, is 5 and 8. So we have that P into x, y is what? And Q into 8 and 6 is equals to, now this is E, so this one is equals to 5 and 8. That's the meaning. So if that's the case, we are aware that this is x and this is y, right? This one too is x and y. This is x1, y1, but this one is equivalent, is equal to, because from the question it says that is this. So now we are aware of the formula x minus x plus x1 all over 2 and y plus y1 all over 2. So remember, is the midpoint, so divide by 2, right? If that's the case, this is, if you substitute, is going to be x plus, what is our x1 is 8 all over 2. Remember that this is x is equals to now 5 for x. Now we put equals to 5, and this one will be y plus, what is our y1? Our y1 is 6 over 2 is will be equals to now 8. So if you cross multiply, sorry, if you balance it with 1, then you cross multiply, you're going to have x plus 8 times 1 is same thing, is equals to 2 times 5 is 10. This 2 times this 5 is what? 10. So, and this one too, and this one will be, this one multiplied by 1 is same thing as y plus 6, right? Y plus 6 is equals to 2 times 8, of course, is 16. So we have 16. So on this side, we know that this 8 will move to the other side, will be subtraction. So will be x equals to 10 minus 8. So x is 10 minus 8 is 2. Then, and this one will be y now equals to 16. We'll move, this one will move to the other side, will be minus 6, which is y is equals to 10. Therefore, now p, we're looking for the p, will be what? 2 and 10. So that's the answer, 2 and 10. So with that, our answer will be A. So let's move to the next question. Alright, number 23 says, find the equation of a line perpendicular to line 2y equals to 5x plus 4, which passes through 4 and 2. So the perpendicular line is two y is equals to 5x plus 4. Okay, then through this line 4 and 2. So now the first thing to do here is to find our gradient, because the formula, the equation of a perpendicular line is always given by y is equals to mn plus c. So where now in this case, this will be our n, this will be our n, and this will be our y. We'll see to that later when we solve this. But the first thing to do is to find the gradient using from this one. We're going to find the gradient. So in this case now, so we're going to say we have 2y is equals to 5x plus 4. So divide all through by 2. We are making y the subject, right? So now we have that y is equals to 5x over 2 plus this 2 here is 1, this 2 here is 2. We have plus 2, right? So if that's the case, we know that from the equation of a straight line, which is always y is equals to mx plus c, this is always the gradient. So if you check it, if you compare it, this will be our gradient. Our gradient is 5 over 2. So we'll say that our gradient m is equal to 5 over 2. So now we've gotten this. It's now time for us to substitute everything into this now equation. So now substituting into this equation, we know that, so since it is perpendicular, it is usually the inverse That is, we're going to make this one if negative of 2 over 5. We're going to turn it upside down and add negative sign. If it's already negative, it will change to positive because it's going to be something as m is equals to minus of whatsoever we get upside down. So this is going to be m equals to minus now 2 over 5. That's it. You turn it upside down and you add a negative sign. If it is already negative, it's going to be positive. So now we're going to substitute so that we will get this c, because we have to get all what we need in order to substitute it into this equation, this one here. So in this case, we're going to say to get this c, we'll use this. So we're going to say using what y is equals to mn plus c. What is our y? Our y is 2. So we're going to say 2 equals to what is our m? Our m is minus 2 over 5. So minus 2 over 5. What is our n? Our n is 4. So we have 4 plus now c, right? So this one is going to be 2 balance it with 1 is equals to, now this one is over 1. 4 times minus 2 is minus 8. So we minus 8 over 5 times 1 is 5. So we're going to have 5 plus c, right? So we are looking for c. We move this one to the other side and it's already negative. It's going to turn to positive. So we have 2 over 1 plus now 8 over 5 is equals to c. So take the LCM. The LCM here is 5. 5, this 5 divided by 1 is 5, and 5 times 2 is 10. So we have 10 plus 5 divided by 5 is 1, and 1 times the 8 is 8. So we have 8, which will be equals to c. So if you add the 10 plus 8 is equals to, this one will be 18 over 5 is equals to c. We've gotten our c. Now we're going to substitute it into this equation, right? So substituting into the equation, we have what? Y is equals to mx plus c, right? So what is our y? We don't know in this case. So this is going to be, now y is equals to, our m is minus 2 over 5, right? So our m is minus 2 over 5. Our x plus, what is our c? We've gotten our c to be 18 over 5. That's it. So now, remember we're looking for an equation. So now we're going to take the LCM, balance it with 1. If you take the LCM is 5. So 5 divided by 1 is 5, and 5 times the y is 5y is equals to 5 divided by this 5 is 1, and 1 times the numerator is minus 2. Then we minus 2 again. X, right? Remember we still have this at x. Then we have plus 5 divided by 5 is 1, and 1 times 18 is 18. So now we are going to cancel this. Why? Because of the equal sign. Whenever you take the LCM of any equation and there's equality sign, then if it's an equation, you cancel the LCM. So we are left with what? 5y is equals to minus 2x plus 18. So do we have anything like that? So now, but remember that if this is this question, let's move all this one now to the other side and equate it to 0. So we're going to have 5y now. Now it's going to be plus 2x because it has crossed the equal sign. This one might now minus 18 now equated to 0. So this is the equation. So let's check. Do we have anything like that? Of course, B. The answer is B. Let's move to the next question. Question 24 says, if tan q is equal to 3 over 4, find the value of cos q minus sin q. So we already have that tan q is equal to 3 over 4, right? So we should find cos q minus sin q. So now from here, this is trying to tell you that is a right angle triangle. This trigonometric ratio. So the first thing to do is to draw a right angle triangle. If you draw that, we're going to have something like this. So we have something like this. So we said tan q is equal to 3 over 4. So what is tan? If you use this so ka, so if you use the trigonometric ratio so ka tua, what's the meaning of this? This means sine is equal to opposite over hypotenuse, right? Then we have that cos is equal to adjacent over hypotenuse, and we have that tan is equal to opposite over adjacent. So since the question says tan q is 3 over 4 and tan is opposite over adjacent, indirectly this is opposite and this is adjacent. The 3 is opposite and 4 is adjacent. So 3 is opposite. Where is opposite? The opposite is here, 3. And 4 is adjacent, which is here. So we're going to find here in order to get this cos q and sin q, because both cos and sine involve hypotenuse and we don't have hypotenuse, so we have to calculate the hypotenuse. So using the trigonometric ratio, using the Pythagoras rule, we know that is hypotenuse square is equal to opposite square plus adjacent square. So what is hypotenuse? Is x square, we don't know it, equals to our hypotenuse, our opposite is 3 square plus 4 square. So this is going to be 9 plus 16. So x square is equal to 25. So take the square root of both sides. If you take the square root of both sides, this will cancel this. You are left with x equals the square root of 25 is 5. So that means this place is equals to what? 5. So if this place is 5 now, we will be able to get our cos q minus sin q. So what is cos q? Cos is adjacent over hypotenuse. So we will now say cos q minus sin q. So cos q is, so cos q now, of course we know cos is adjacent over hypotenuse, so it will be adjacent over hypotenuse, 4 over 5. So 4 over 5 minus sin q, which is what? Opposite all over hypotenuse. See there? So what is our opposite? Is 3 over hypotenuse 5. So 3 over 5. So now this is going to be, since the denominators are the same, you're going to subtract the numerator. 4 minus 3 is 1 over 5. So the answer is 1 over 5, which is here. B is the answer. So let's move to the next question. Question 25. Question 25 says, a man walks 100 meters due west from point X to Y. He then walks 100 meters due north to a point Z. Find the bearing of X from Z. So now, from the question now, a man walks 100 meters due west from a point X. So we have a point X. This is a point X, right? And you walk what? 100 meters due west from X. So from this place, 100 meters due west. So where is west? This is north, this is south, this is west, and this is east. So due west. So he walked what? 100 meters. So we're going to draw it like this. This 100 meters to point what? To Y. So this is our Y. This point Y. Can you see? He then walks 100 meters due north to point Z. So from this Y, he walked 100 meters again. So this is north, of course, like this. This is point Z. This 100 meters. Find the bearing of X from Z. So let's join this line. So we have to find the bearing of X from Z. That means this is X from this Z here. So that's where we're going to find. So we're going to look for, calculate the angle from here up to this line. That's the meaning. X from Z. And in calculating this, we already know that this one here is 90 degrees. So it would be nice if we know from here to here. Right? So how can we get this angle? Of course, we can use the trigonometry ratio to calculate it. If we use the trigonometry ratio to calculate this place, which is same thing as this place, right? So let's make this one to be theta. So what is available is, since it is a right angle triangle, if you check it, that's why we're using trigonometry ratio. This is a right angle triangle. Since a right angle triangle, we are going to use the trigonometry ratio, which is a relationship between opposite and adjacent, right? Opposite and adjacent, of course, is tan. So we're going to use tan theta is equals to opposite over adjacent. And what is our opposite? Our opposite is 100 over our adjacent is also 100. So we have that tan theta is equals to 100 divided by 100 here is 1. So we have 1. So we're looking for tan. We're looking for theta, right? So divide both sides by tan. This one cancel this. So we have theta is equals to, take the tan inverse of what? 1. So what's the tan inverse of 1? You say this is how you're going to do. You're going to say shift tan of 1. The answer is 45 degrees. So this is also 45 degrees. So this place A is 45 degrees. So if this place is 45 degrees, definitely this place will be 45 degrees, because alternate angles are equal. So we've gotten 45 degrees. We have to add it to this 90 so that we will get the total bearing. So the bearing now of what? X from Z. From Z is equals to 90 now plus 45. So 90 plus 45 is 135 degrees. So do you have 135 degrees? Of course, yes. The answer is B. Let's move to the next question. Number 26 says the derivative of 2x plus 1 and 3x plus 1 is, so this is actually differentiation. So we have 2x plus 1, then we have 3x plus 1. So whenever you see something multiplying by each other, that means we're going to use product rule. And product rule is given, the formula for product rule is given by du v all over the x is equals to u dv dx, right? Plus v du dx. So this is the formula. So we're going to use this formula now to find the derivative of this. So with this one now, we'll say let our u equals to this first part, which is what? 2x plus 1, and v is equals to the second part, this one here, which is 3x plus 1, right? So now we're going to differentiate in respect to u. So differentiate u in respect to x, right? So we'll say du dx is equals to, now how do you how do you differentiate? This one is having invisible one here, so this one here will multiply by the 2 here and subtract by another one, right? This is how it works. If you have 2x raised power 5, let's assume you're going to multiply this 5 by this 2, so it's going to be 5 now times this 2, then you will subtract 1 from this, so it's going to be x raised power 4 now, so which is 10x raised to power 4. So that's what you're going to use. You multiply it by the power, then subtract 1 from it, right? So using that, we're going to say there's invisible one here. 1 times 2 is 2, then we'll subtract the 1 again, it will be 0, right? So which is, this is going to be 1 times 2 is something as 2 x raised to power 0 now, because it's going to be x raised to power 1 minus 1, right? And whenever you differentiate a constant, a number is going to be 0. So this one here is going to be 0. So that means this place is going to be 2x raised to power 0, and 2x raised to power 0 is something as what? 2, right? So in other way, we don't need to write it up to this place, not to confuse you. So which is something as, this something as what? 2, right? So then if you differentiate this, there's invisible one here, we'll multiply by 3, so that's dv dx is going to be 3x raised to power 0 2, because this one will multiply by this 3 will be something as this 3. So and if you differentiate 1, is going to be 0, right? Which is something as 3 if you differentiate this. So substituting into this formula, we have our u. Our u is what? Our u is 2x plus 1. So we'll say 2x plus 1. Then we have dv dx. So what is dv dx? Dv dx is 3. So we'll put 3 here. Then plus, what is our v? Our v is 3x plus 1. Then we have du dx. Our du dx is this, which is 2. So multiply by 2. So let's open it up. It will be this one multiply by this and multiply by this. Then this 2 multiply by this and multiply by this. So this is 2 times 2. 2x times 3 is 6x, plus 1 times 3 is 3. Then plus 3x times 2 is 6x, plus 3x times 2. 1 times 2 is 2. So collect the items. We're going to have 6x plus the other 6x now, then plus 3 now, plus 2. All the x will move to one side. So 6 plus 6x is 12x, plus 3 plus 2 is 5. So this is the answer, 12x plus 5. So if you check our option, the answer is D. So let's move to the next question. Alright, question 27 says the third term of an AP is 4x minus 2y, and the ninth term is 10x minus 8y. Find the common difference. So from the question, we have that the third term is equals to 4x minus 2y, and the ninth term is equals to 10x minus 8y. So this is what we have, right? And we are asked to find the common difference. Remember, the formula for calculating AP is given by Tn is equals to A plus into n minus 1d, where A is what? A is the first term, then n is the nth term, while d is the common difference. So since the question said we should find the common difference, that means we're going to find this d, right? So from the question now, let's substitute it that the third term is equal to 4x minus 2. So the t3 is equals to a plus into what is the n now? The n now will be equals to 3, right? So 3 minus 1, and d is now equals to what? 4x minus 2y. 4x minus 2y, right? Then this one here, if you solve this, it's going to give us this equation 1. If you solve this, it's going to be a 3 times 3 minus 1 is 2. So times d is 2d equals to 4x minus 2y. So this is equation 2. So let's do for that of 9 term. So T9 now, T9 is going to be A plus into, now for the n now will be 9. 9 minus 1 d now is equals to what? 10x minus 8y. So 10x minus 8y, right? So solving this is going to be this equation 3. This is going to be a plus 9 minus 1 is 8. 8 times d is 8d equals to 10x minus 8y. So this is our equation 4. So if we bring equation 4, this one here, and equation 2 together, right? Because we're looking for d, we would bring them together. So let me just bring this equation here. So it's going to be a plus 2d is equals to 4x minus 2y. See there. So now with this, what are we going to do? We're going to subtract the equation. If you subtract it, what are we going to have? This will go, right? Then we have 8d minus 2, and 8d minus 2 is 6d is equals to 10x minus 4x is going to be 6x, right? Then we have minus 8. See, we have minus 8, then minus 2, right? It's going to be minus 8 plus 2, and minus 8 plus 2 is minus 6, right? So we're going to have minus 6. So minus 6y. So we are looking for d, so we divide both sides by 6. So this will go. So we are left with what? Now d is equals to 6x minus 6y over 6. So we can factorize them since they have 6 and 6. Factorize the 6 out. If you factorize the 6 out, we're going to have d is equals to 6 into x minus y over the 6. So this 6 can cancel this 6. We'll be left with what? We'll be left with equals to x minus y. Right? So therefore our d now, let me write it over here. D is equals to x minus y, because that's it. So if you check it, do you have anything like that in the answer? Yes, C is the answer. Let's move to the next question. Question 28. It says if x minus 1, so if x minus 1, x plus 1, and x minus 2 are factors of the polynomial ax cubed plus bx squared plus cx minus 1. Find a, b, c in that order. So from the question, is quite a long solution. You're going to say minus x minus 1. Then we have x plus 1. And we have x minus 2. So what we're going to do, equate all of them to 0. If you equate this to 0, it's going to be x equals to this one now. It's going to be x minus 1 equals to 0, which is what? X equals to 1. Same thing here. It's going to be x plus 1 equals to 0, which is what? X equals to minus 1. And same here. We said x minus 2 equals to 0, and it's going to be x equals to 2. So these are the values we have. Now what we're going to do is that we will use this value to substitute it into this polynomial equation. And what is the equation? The equation is ax cubed plus bx squared plus cx minus 1. So for all this value of x, we're going to substitute each of them into this equation. So starting with the first one, when x is 1, so for x equals to 1 now, it's going to be a into 1 raised to power 3 plus b into 1 raised to power 2 plus c into 1. Wherever we see x, we'll put 1 minus 1, right? So this is going to be 1 raised to power 3 same as 1. So this same as a plus b plus c minus 1. This is equation 1. Right? When x is equals to 1, we'll get this. Then the next one is when x is equals to what? Minus 1. So if you substitute it, we're going to have a into minus 1 raised to power 3 plus b into minus 1 raised to power 2 plus c into minus 1 minus 1. Right? So this is going to be minus 1 times minus 1 times minus 1 minus 1 times minus 1 times minus 1, because this is raised to power 3. So it's going to be minus 1 times minus 1 is 1, and 1 times minus 1 is minus 1. So this is going to be minus a, right? And minus 1 times a is minus a. Then minus 1 times minus 1 is 1, and 1 times b is b. Then we have minus 1 times c is minus c minus 1. So this is equation 2. So the next one is when x is equals to 2, right? So we're going to say x is now equals to 2. We're going to have a into 2 raised to power 3 plus b into 2 raised to power 2 plus c into 2 minus 1, right? So this is 2 cube is 2 times 2 times 2, which is 8. So we're going to have 8 times a is 8a, right? Then plus 2 square is 4, so 4 times b is 4b. Then plus c times 2 is plus 2c, so minus 1. This is equation 3. So now we're going to use the method of solving 3 simultaneous equations. So we have 3 equations now. So you are allowed to choose or to combine any of the 2. So we can use equation 1 and equation 2, or we can use equation 1 and equation 3, or we can use equation 2 and equation 3. So looking at this complexity, I'm going to take equation 1 and 2 first. So we say equation 1 and 2. So we take equation 1 and 2, which is what? A plus B plus C minus 1 equated to 0. Same thing will happen to equation 2. It is going to be minus A plus B minus C minus 1 is equals to 0. So now we are going to add this equation so that we'll substitute. We are going to eliminate one, this elimination method. We're going to eliminate one of the unknown, right? And doing that, since this one here, they have different sign. If we want to eliminate A, it will be easier. We'll simply add the equation. So if you add the equation, of course, this A will go because minus we have 1, that's A, plus minus A is 0. Then we have B plus B is 2B. Then we have C plus minus C. This one will go. Then we have minus 1 plus minus 1. So we have minus 1 plus minus 1, which is minus 1 minus 1, which is minus 2. So this is going to be minus 2 is equals to 0, right? So this A will be 2B is equals to, this 2 will move to the other side, will be 2 divided both side by 2. So our B now is equals to 2 divided by 2 is 1. We've gotten B first. So the next one, I'm going to take equation 1 and 3. So equation 1 and 3. So if I take equation 1 and 3, it's going to be A plus B plus C is equals to minus 1 is equals to 0. Then equation 3 is 8A plus 4B plus 2C minus 1 is equals to 0. So now, in simultaneous equation, if we want to look for an unknown that will cancel, they have to look alike, right? They have to be equal. So in making them equal, we'll multiply this equation by if I multiply this equation by 2, of course, it's going to help us in eliminating C, right? Because C is having the coefficient of 2. So this one here, if you follow this, we're going to have a new equation, which is 2 times A. This 2 here will multiply all through this, just like the way we know simultaneous equation. So A times 2 is 2A. Then we have plus B times 2 is 2B. Then we have plus C times 2 is 2C. And we have minus 1 times 2 is 2 equals to 0. Then bring our equation, normal equation here. This is not going to affect it. We have 8A plus 4B. Then we have plus 2C. We have minus 1 is equals to 0. So if you eliminate it, you can simply subtract. If you subtract that, it will be 2A minus 8A. Of course, it's going to be minus 6A. So we have minus 6A here. Then we have 2B minus 4B is going to be minus 2B. Then this one, of course, will go because 2C minus 2C is 0. Then we have minus 2 minus 1 minus 2 minus 1. So let's use this first. Minus 2 minus 1. So this is going to be minus 2. Minus is plus 1. Minus 2 plus 1 is minus 1, right? So we're going to have minus 1 is equal to 0. So I'm going to clean the other side of the board since we're done with this. So let's pick this equation we've gotten here. We're going to have minus 6A minus 2b minus 1 is equals to 0, right? So remember that we've gotten our b as 1. Since we've gotten it as 1, now we'll substitute it. So substitute what? For b is equals to 1. So we're going to have minus 6a. Wherever we see b, we'll put 1. So 2 into now 1 minus 1 is equals to 0. So this is going to be minus 6a minus 2 times 1 is minus 2. We have minus 1 equals to 0. So now this is going to be minus 6a minus 2 minus 1 is minus 3 equals to 0. So this 3 will move to the other side. And once it moves to the other side, it's going to be minus 6a equals to 3. So divide both sides by minus 6 minus 6, right? So this will cancel this. 3 here is 1, 3 here is 2. Let me clean here. So our a now will be minus, remember this minus is still there, so it's going to be minus 1 over 2. That's our a. We've gotten our a now. So in order to get c, because we've gotten b and a, in order to get c, you can use any equation to substitute. You can use our equation 1, and this is our equation 1, right? What the hell is this thing? When I cancel this one, so let's use it. So it's going to be a plus b plus c minus 1 is equals to 0. So our a is already minus 1 over 2, then plus our b is 1 plus c minus 1 is equals to 0. So if you add this, balance this with 1, balance this with 1, balance with 1, and balance with 1, right? So you can see that this is minus 1. This one here will go with this plus 1. So we're left with minus 1 over 2 plus c is equals to 0. So taking this minus 2 to the other side is going to be plus 2, right? So c will be equals to 1 over 2. This minus sign will not be there again because it has moved to the other side. So now the question say in that order. If it is in that order, we know that our a is what? Our a is minus 1 over 2. So we have minus 1 over 2. Then our b is 1, right? Here. And our c is 1 over 2. So based on that, our answer is A. Let's move to the next question. This was quite very long, right? I wonder why they decide to put it in objective. That's Jamb for you. So let's move to the next question.
All right, question 29. The question says find the inverse of P under the binary operation asterisk. That's the star there. Defined by P asterisk Q is equals to P plus Q minus PQ. So where P and Q are real numbers and 0 is the identity. So from the question now, we're talking of inverse. And the question says we should find the inverse of P. And whenever you're asked to find the inverse of anything, is that object or that alphabet minus 1. So now we're going to say the inverse of P is what? Is P minus 1. So this is the inverse of P, right? And remember that if it is then and when we talk of identity, we equate it to 0 after taking the inverse, right? After taking the inverse. So now identity from the whole 0 is the identity. So we have the identity now. Is equals to 0. So now how we're going to do? We're going to use this knowledge the knowledge of inverse, we're going to use this and we'll take the inverse of this equation. Now, when we say the inverse of P is P minus 1, that means we're going to restructure, we're going to change this equation. Now, it's going to be, instead of P, we're going to put P minus 1. And since it is inverse, this Q now will end up being P, because you're going to swap it. You have like P here and you have Q. So you're going to swap it. If you swap it, this one becomes P becomes Q and Q becomes P. Right? And remember that this P is no more P, is now P minus 1. So in this case, we're going to have something like this. We have P minus 1 asterisk. Now P. Can you see? Since we know that P will now be P minus 1 and Q will be P under the inverse. So now it will be equals to, they are commutative. That means P minus 1 asterisk P is same as P asterisk P minus 1. It's same as say like this. Can you see? It's set like this, which is equals to the identity 0. Right? So if you have this, we're going to substitute this statement into this equation. So it's substituting sort. So now let's go substituting. If you substitute, instead of now P here, we're going to put P minus 1. And instead of Q, we're going to write P. Right? So in this case now, we're going to have something like this. P minus 1 asterisk P is equals to, now P plus Q. So instead of P plus Q, is going to be P minus 1 plus Q, which is what? P. Then we have minus here. Minus, what is P? PQ. So it's going to be P minus 1. Then we have Q is multiplying. You can put dot here, P. So now we're going to equate this equation to the identity, which is 0. So we're going to have something as P minus 1 plus P minus P 1 P minus 1 dot P equated to 0. Remember, you are finding the inverse. We are going to find the inverse. And what is the inverse? The inverse is P minus 1. So we're going to look for this. We're making it a subject formula. So from here now, we can move this P. This one is P minus 1. This one is P minus 1. But this, remember that this one is multiplying. So you can't move it to the next side. But this one here, you can move this one to the next side. Since it's the only P. So it's going to be P minus 1 minus P minus 1 dot P is equals to, now it's going to be minus P, because it moves to the other side, and once it moves, the sign changes. So in this case, you have this. What are we going to do? We're going to factor what is common here, right? We use factorization. So in this case, you can group them as one number. This is a number. This is a number, and this is also a number. Right? So if we're going to factor them, what do they have in common? If you check it, they have minus P minus 1 and P minus 1. Right? So if they have that one in common, you can put P minus 1 into, so P minus 1 times what will give us P minus 1, of course, is 1. Right? Then we have this minus. Then we have P minus 1 dot P. So if you put only P here, why? Because P minus 1 times P will give you P minus 1P. Then P minus 1 times 1 will give you P minus 1. Right? So you can see that. So which is equals to minus P. So divide both sides by 1 minus P, because we are looking for P minus 1. So 1 minus P, 1 minus P. So this cancel this. Right? Now we are left with, we use this place, we are left with P minus 1 is equals to minus P over 1 minus P. So we are going to rearrange this, because if you check our option, we don't have anything like this. Right? So if we arrange this, you're going to have something like this. So if you follow that, we're going to have something like this. I can rearrange it. P minus 1 is equals to minus P over, say I can rearrange it as minus P plus 1. Can you see? Minus P plus 1. If I would do that, it's just this minus is for this P, right? And this one is positive 1. So we are going to have something like this. And rearranging it, except as P open bracket, I can make it like this. Factor out the minus sign so that it will be able to give me P and minus 1. If I do like this, minus times P is minus P. Can you see? Then minus times minus 1 is going to be plus 1, which is correct, right? So in this case, this P will cancel this P, right? So therefore, we can say that I'll write it up here. We can say therefore, P minus 1 is equals to P over P minus 1. This is the answer. So let's see our option. Do you have anything like that? Yes, is C. I know it's very confusing, but try your possible best to review it again and again. You understand it. Let's move to the next question. Number 30 says 3y is equal to 4x minus 1 and ky equals to x plus 3 are equations of two straight lines. If two lines are perpendicular to each other, find k. Of course, this is talking about perpendicular. I remember the previous question we said that whenever you have a line that is perpendicular, that means it forms a right angle triangle, right angle. And when you are taking the inverse, you're going to turn the fraction upside down, that is the gradient, and add a negative sign, right? So let's try it and see. We're going to see how it's end. We have 3y minus 4, 3y. We have 3y equals to 4x minus 1. And we have ky is equals to x plus 3. So all these ones are linear equation, right? So we're going to make it in such a way that we'll get the gradient. Remember that this is in the form of y is equal to mx plus c, where m is a gradient. So we're going to find the gradient from it. So in this case, if you do that, you divide all through by 3. This one you divide all through by k. We're trying to make y the subject formula, right? So this 3 cancel this. Then this k cancel this, right? So we are left with y is equal to 4x minus 1 over 3 and over 3. Then and we have y here is equal to x over k plus 3 over k. So what is the gradient here? The gradient here, m, is equal to 4 over 3, the coefficient of x, which is this, right? Then the m here is equal to the coefficient of x over k is, the coefficient of x here is 1, invisible 1. So it's 1 over k. So 1 over k. So since it is an inverse, we're going to say, remember we have 1 over k here. We're going to say, instead for us to equate it, since m is equal to this and this m is equal to this, then that means this is equal to this. I don't know whether you get it. If you have a is equal to b, right, and b is equal to c, that means c is equal to a, right? So that's the same knowledge we're going to use. Since we equate them, right? If you equate them, you're going to have 1 over k is equal to 4 over 3, right? But you are going to change the second part of the equation upside down. So it's going to be what? It's going to be 3 over 4 and add a negative sign. This is due to the what? Inverse of perpendicular. Remember in the previous question we did something like that. So if you have something like this, you cross multiply. If you cross multiply, remember when you have equality sign between two fractions, you want to make a subject formula, you cross multiply. If you cross multiply, this k will multiply by 3, minus 3 rather, and this one will multiply by this 4. So if you do that, you're going to have k times minus 3 is going to be minus 3k is equal to 4. So divide both sides by minus 3. So it's going to be minus 3 here, minus 3. Cancel here, cancel here. So therefore our k is equals to 4 over minus 3. So that's it. Do you have anything like that? Of course, yes, P is the answer. Is there anything like that? Yes, of course, A is the answer. Why? Because this minus sign you see, when you divide a positive by a negative number, it's going to be all negative, right? So that's it. Let's move to the next question. Number 31 says, if P and Q are fixed point and X is a point which moves so that X P is equal to XQ, the locus of X is what? So imagine you have a straight line. It's a fixed point here. You have P and you have Q, right? As a fixed point. And X is the locus of point moves so that, so let's make X here. Let's assume maybe it's here. If you cut an X, this one will be X. If you draw this one here, draw this one here, you know that the line from here to here is set as from here to here, right? So the question is asking us, the locus of X is a straight line, a circle, a bisector of PXQ, the perpendicular bisector of Q. Yes, it's a perpendicular bisector of Q. By the time you draw a line straight like this, of course, it's going to divide P and Q equally, giving you a right angle here. So the answer is D. Let's move to the next question. All right, question 32 says a predator moves in a cycle of radius root 2 with center 0 and 0, while a prey moves along the line y is equals to x, right? So remember that from the question, if 0 less or equals to x less is less or equals to 2 at a point, at which point will they meet? So now from the question now, we know that our radius as our r is equals to root 2, right? And we know that y is equals to x. Now there's a formula we always use in this case. The formula is x square plus y square is equals to radius square, right? So now what is our radius? Our radius is root 2. So this one is going to be x square plus y square equals to the square root of 2 all squared, right? So we have this. But remember, but x is equals to x. So wherever you see y, you're going to put x. So if that's the case, let's substitute. If you substitute now, you are going to have, instead of y, we're going to write x. So it's going to be x square. Now instead of y, we're going to put x square again. It's equals to now root 2. And root 2 square is same as root 2 times root 2, which is root 4, right? So this is root 4. This is going to be x square plus x square is equals to root 4 is 2, because the square root of 4 is 2. So we have x square plus x square. This is same as 2x square, 2 of them, right? Is equals to 2. So divide both sides by what? They divide both sides by 2 because we are looking for x. So this one we have x square is equals to 1 divided by 2 divided by 2 is 1. So it's 1. Take the square root of x. You take the square root of both sides. We're going to have that x is equals to 1 because the square root of x square is x and the square root of 1 is 1. So we have this. Now, we are not yet through because we want to find where they are going to meet. So now, but remember that we have this, right? Remember that we are going to look for the points. Of course, we are looking for the coordinate, and we've gotten x. Now it's left for us to get y, right? So remember that we have that x square plus y square is equals to root 2 all squared, which is same as x square plus y squared is equals to root 2 square is root 4, which is same as 2, right? From here you can see it. So now we have gotten our x, right? So substituting now, if you substitute x is equals to 1, you're going to have 1 square plus y square is equals to 2, right? So this 1 square is something as 1 plus y is equals to 2. So, right, this remember is y square, right? So move this one to the other side. It will be minus sign. So you're going to have y square is equals to 2 minus 1, right? So y square is equal to 2 minus 1 is 1. So take the square root of both sides. You're going to have y equals to 1. The square root of 1 is 1. So our x is 1 and our y is 1. So therefore the answer is going to be, the coordinate will be x. Remember it's x and y, right? So it's going to be 1 comma 1. So that's the answer. So let's check the option. The answer is A. Let's move to the next question. All right, question 33. The question says finding the value of sine 45 degrees minus cos 30 degrees. So now this option you can see here, there are numbers, but you wonder where did they get this? Of course, it's using what we know as the special angles. Special angles are those angles that you'll be able to get them without the use of calculator, and some of them may end up becoming roots, right? So in this, I have a table here. This table shows all the special angles. Of course, 0, 30, 45, 60, and 90 are special angles. So now is in order for you to prevent any story that touches the heart, go back to your textbooks or online resources and be able to gather some things and, if possible, cram them. It's very, very important. Yes, because remember that Jamb calculator is just a market calculator, right? So with this, let's go. You have sine 45 degrees minus cos 30 degrees. So what is sine 45 degrees? If you check it here, this is sine 45 degrees, which is root 2 over 2. So I'm going to write root 2 over 2 minus cos 30 degrees. Let's go. Cos 30 is root 3 over 2. So we say root 3 over 2. Now, what I'm going to do, we're going to subtract the numerator because the denominators are equal. They are the same, right? Remember, in subtraction and addition of fraction, when the denominators are the same, you just add or subtract the numerator. So in this case, we're going to subtract the numerator direct since the denominators are the same. So we're going to have root 2 minus root 3. Choose one of the denominator. It's going to be 2. So that is the answer. So let's check our option. Do you have anything like that? Of course, C. C is the answer. Let's move to the next question. All right, question 34 says P is a point on one side of a straight line UV. So let's assume you have a straight line UV, right? This is UV, and P is on one side. Let's assume it's here, one side. P moves in the same direction as UV. So P moves in the same direction as UV. So let's just put the direction like this. All of them are moving this way. If the straight line ST is on the locus of P, so let's assume this is the locus here. Let's assume we have a locus here. Let's make this one, it will be S, and this one will be ST, right? If the line ST is on the locus of P, as we have said, this is P, and VUS is 50 degrees. VUS. So VU, remember that angle at the center, or the letter at the center always carries the angle. So this is UVS. So UV then S. Draw it down like this. This is the angle. It's what? 50 degrees. Find angle UST. We have to find angle UST. Angle UST. So how going to do? Of course, we can first get this angle, angle USP. So why? Because alternate angles are, because since these ones are parallel lines, so we're going to say angle USP is equals to 50 degrees. Why? Angles are the alternate angles are equal, right? These short form of angles are equal. So we have this. Now, after getting this one as 50, how can we get our angle UST? Angle UST. So what is the letter at the center? The letter at the center is S. So that means we're going to find this place. How are we going to find? Because it is a right angle triangle. So we can say that our angle UST is equal to 180 degrees minus 50, because sum of angles on a straight line. Sum of angle on a line is what is 180 degrees. So if you have something like this, 180 minus 50 is going to be 130 degrees. So that is the answer. If you have anything like that, of course, B is the answer. So that is, this place is 130 degrees. Let's move. Let's move to the next question. All right, number 35. We have a diagram here. The question says, in the diagram above, EFGH is a circle center O. If FH is a diameter and EG is a chord that meets FH at right angle at the point N. If NH is 8 centimeters and EG is 24 centimeters, calculate FH. So this is the diameter FH, right? And we know diameter is a line that cut across from the center, cut across the center from another part of the circumference to the other part of the circumference. Then we have a chord here which is perpendicular to this place, 90 degrees, right? So now the first thing to do, we are looking for FH. That's what we're looking for, the distance from here now to here. This is what you are looking for. So how are we going to go about this? This is actually simple, but you need to concentrate. Now, for the question now, we know that OH, right? OH, that's distance from O here to H. If you check the distance here, it's actually H distance from here to O to the center. That's the radius, right? This is the radius. And you can say that this line here, this red line here, is actually the addition of NH or HN plus NO. Is that all? So that's it. So we there's a reason why we're following it this way. So we can say OH is equals to ON plus NH. Can you see? So if you add ON here plus NH, will give you the distance from O to H, right? So we have this. From the question now, we know that we have that NH is 8 centimeters. So since NH is 8 centimeters, so we can replace it here. It's going to be this NH here, we're going to replace it with 8 centimeters. So we're going to have something like OH is equals to ON plus 8, right? Now, let's try to make ON the subject formula here. If we make ON the subject formula, of course, you know we're going to have something like this. This 8 will move to this side and it's going to be minus 8. So rearranging it now, of course, it's going to be ON is equals to OH minus 8. So we've successfully make ON the subject formula. So the next thing you should remember that OH from O here up to this H is actually the same thing as the radius because it's from the center. So we can say that, remember that what? But OH is the what? Is the radius. So if it is the radius now, we can make our ON now. ON is equal to R minus 8, right? Because OH here we substitute it. So the next thing, we know that from the question, OG is radius. When we say OG, that's from here. From the center to any point of the circumference is radius. Even here is also radius. Radius. Any line from the center to the circumference is known as the radius. So OG now from here up to this place is actually radius. So we can say that OG is set as the radius too, right? So if OG is that like that, and from the question here, we want to get NG, that's from here to here. The reason why we are following this is so that we'll be able to make a right angle triangle to get the diameter. So NG, we know that is actually half of the chord, because from here to there, the question say is 24 centimeters. So if that's the case now, we can say that NG will be half. That's 24 over 2, half of the chord, which is what? 12 centimeters, right? So this is our NG. So that if you check, we have a right angle here, triangle, something like this from here, here, up to here, right? We have, and in order for you to solve right angle triangle, you have to use the Pythagoras rule. And the Pythagoras rule says that the square of the hypotenuse, so we have hypotenuse square is the square of the opposite plus the square of the adjacent. So now we have, what is our hypotenuse? Our hypotenuse is this OG, this one here. So is the hypotenuse. So we're going to set OG here square is equals, what is our opposite? Our opposite is ON, right? So ON square. Then we have plus adjacent, that will be what? NG square. So we have this. So let's substitute it and see what is our OG. Our OG is set as this R from here. So we're going to put R square is equals to, what is our ON? Our ON, we've seen it as R minus 8 square now. So we're going to say R minus 8 squared. Then we have plus. What is our NG? Our NG is now 12 centimeters. So square it, we would have 12 square. So from here now, we have R square is equals to R minus 8 square plus 12 square. So if you do your work is done, you're going to get R is equals to 13. Try doing it yourself and see. Let me give you a little work here. R is equal to 13. So we've gotten our radius, and we know that from here, this radius from here up here is radius, then another radius again. So we're going to multiply it by 2, right? So in this case, we're going to say FH is equal to R times 2, which is 13 times 2 is 26 centimeters. So the answer is C. Let's move to the next question. All right. Question 36 says a ship sails a distance of 50 kilometers in a direction of 50 degrees southeast. This is two-figure bearing, and then sails a distance of 50 kilometers in the direction of 40 degrees northeast. Find the bearing of the ship from the original point. So, or original position. So let's give it a try. Let's do it here. We have this diagram. Let's do the compass. So this is north, this is south, this is west, and this is east. So a ship sails 50 kilometers in the direction of 50 degrees southeast. So this is south is 50 degrees, right? From south is 50. Let's do this at 50 degrees. You draw it down, right? Don't just forget about the way my. Don't worry about my drawing. My lines are not straight. Then draw a compass here too, right? Then is 50 kilometers. 50 kilometers. And then sails a distance of 50 kilometers in the direction of 40 degrees northeast. 40 degrees northeast. So here, this is north, this is south, this is west, this is east. So north what? Northeast. So northeast 40 degrees. So this is 40 we draw a line. 50 kilometers. That means the distance are the same. So we want to write 50 kilometers here. So that means it should be around here. They should be the same. You have this, right? So if you have 50 here, you know that this place is 90 degrees from here. Like this is 90 degrees. So since that place is 90 degrees, we're going to say 50 minus 90. Of course, you're going to get 40 degrees. So this is 40 here. If this place is 40, this place too will be 40. Alternate angles are equal, right? So this place will be 40. And if this place is 40, this place will be 50 because this one is 50. That means this one here will be 50. Alternate angles, right? So we have 50 here. Good. Then the question says we should find the bearing of the ship from the original position. This is the original position, and this is where the ship is now. So what is the bearing? Draw a line. If you draw this line, what do you think will be the answer? Of course, from here, the bearing of this position from this, we're going to do the calculation on this point here. It's going to be the angle from here up to where this line that moved to this point is, which is what, 90 degrees. This is 90 degrees. From here to here is 90 degrees. So it's 90 degrees southeast. Anyway, you see 90 degrees, it should be the answer. So let's check it. The answer is A. Right. Question 37 says we should simplify 3 whole number 1 over 2 minus into 2 whole number 1 over 3 times 1 all over 1 over 4 plus 3 over 5. So this is the question. Right, the next thing is to change the mixed fraction into improper fraction. We have 3 times 2 is 6 plus 1 is 7. So we have 7 over 2 minus, or into bracket, 2 times 3 is 6 plus 1 is 7 over 3. Then we have times 1 times 4 is 4 plus 1 is 5 over 4. Close the bracket, plus 3 over 5. So this one is going to be 7 over 2 minus 7 times 3. Multiply this one. Since there's something that can cancel, 7 times 3 is 35 over 3 times 4 is 12. So we have 12 here. Then we have plus 3 over 5. So what we're going to do, we're going to take the LCM since the denominators are different. Right? You take the LCM, and if you take the LCM is 60, because 60 can go into 2. 60 into 2 is 30, and 30 times 7 is 210. Then we have minus 12. 60 divided by 12 is 5, and 5 times 35 is 175. Then we have plus 60 divided by 5 is 12, and 12 times 3 is 36. So we have 36. So 210 minus 175 plus 36, of course, we're going to have 71 over 60. So making this one to be in mixed fraction, you can leave your answer like this. It's going to be one whole number, because 71 divided by 60, it will go one time, remainder 11 over the 60. So this is the answer. We check what will be the answer. The answer is C. Let's move to the next question. All right, question 38. The question says a father decided to give 20% of his monthly income to his 3 children as their monthly allowance. The eldest child got 45% of the allowance, and the youngest got 25%. How much was the father's monthly income if the second child got 3,000? So how are we going to go about this? So now from the question that we know that the father's income is unknown. We don't know the father's income. So now we're going to say let the father's income be Y. So the first statement says that the father decided to give 20% of his monthly income. So now it's going to be what? 20% of his monthly income, which is what? Y. So we're going to put Y here. So now let's make this 20% of Y to be equals to X. So now this X is 20% of Y. That means this X is the amount the income he gave his 3 children, right? So we make the 20% of Y to be X, right? So the eldest child got 45% of the allowance. So he got 45% of that 20% of his income, which is X now. So we're going to say eldest the eldest get 45. He got 45%, right? Of now X, because this X is the amount, the 20% of his total income that he gave his children, right? Then the young well, let's see the allowance, and the youngest got 25%. So youngest you got what? 25% of X also, right? So now how can we get the middle, or the second child, the middle? How can we do it? Of course, it's very, very easy. By the time we subtract 100, subtract all the total of the eldest and the youngest from 100%, we're going to get, so now the middle son now will get what? 100%. If you subtract it, we're going to subtract 45% plus 25, right? If you subtract that, of course, it's going to be 100 minus 45 plus 25 is 70, which is equals to 30%. So now you're going to say the middle boy now is going to be what? Is going to be 30% of what? Of X. So 30% of X. So now the question says, how much was the father's income if the second child got 3,000? So now we have seen that the second child got 30% of X. We're going to use the knowledge of that, since the middle child already I've gotten what? This. So we'll use that to get our X. It's very easy. So in this case, we're going to say, since the middle child or second child is equal to 30% of X, now is equal to, equated to the 3,000. So this one is going to, what is 30%? It's same as 30 over 100 times X is equal to 3,000, right? So of course this one is going to be this over 1. 30 times X is 30X over 100 is equal to 3,000. So cross multiply. If you cross multiply, now we're going to have something like this. 30x is equals to, because 30x times 1 is 30x, equals to 3,000 times 100. You're going to have 300,000, right? So divide both side by 30, right? So this cancel this. Then this 0 here cancel one of these 0, and this 3 here cancel here 1. So we have 1. So X now is 10,000, which is going to be, so this is the X. And remember that X is equal to 10,000. So now, in order for us to get his total income, we're going to go back to this. Remember, we said that 20% of Y is equals to X. So of course, we're going to use it. So remember that 20% of Y is equals to X, right? So, and this is something as a 20 over 100 times y, right, is equals to, what is x? 10,000. We have something like this. So if you do the calculation, this is why you balance it with 1. It's going to be 20 times y is 20y over 100 times y is 100, is equals to 10,000, right? So balance this one with 1 also. So cross multiply. If you cross multiply, you're going to have, this is going to be 20y, because 20y times y is 20y, is equals to 1000 times 100. So it's going to be 1000, then add 2 zeros like this, right? So divide by 20. Now if you divide by 20, we're going to have 28 divided by 20. This will go with this, right? This 10 cancel one of the 0. 2 here is 1, 2 here into 10 is 5. So we are left with 5 with how many zeros? 1, 2, 3, 4 zeros, right? Therefore y, which is the father's income, will be equal to 50,000, right? So let's check our option. Of course, the answer is D. Let's move to the next one. All right, number 39. It says if the interest on 150 naira for 2.5 years is 4.5 naira, find the interest on 250 naira for 6 months at the same rate. So now from the question, now you can see that they say, the question says if the interest on 150 naira, so the principal now here is 150 naira for 2 years, that's the time, 2.5 years is 4.5, so that's the interest. I is equals to 4.50. We have to find the interest on, this is for the first one, so find I, right, for, find the interest, that's I, for the principal now, the second principal, P equals to 250 naira, then time T is equals to 6 months, that's half of a year, right? So write 0.5 years, because it's half of a year. Then at the same rate, so the rate now, so for the rate now is what we are going to calculate here. After getting it, then we will put it here, right? So let's go. Now in order to calculate the rate, so for rate here, we know the formula for calculating simple interest is I is equals to P times R times T over 100. So what is the I? The I has been given, the first one is 4.50. So we have 4.50 is equals to, what is our P? 150 times our R, we don't know, times our T, which is 2.5. So we can write 2.5 because it's same thing, right? So over 100. So what I'm going to do, this is the same thing as 4.50 over 1 is equals to 150. Let's multiply it with the calculator. 150 times 2.5 is equals to 375 times R is 375 R. So we have 375 R over 100. So cross multiply, because we're looking for this R. If you cross multiply, we're going to have 375 R is equals to 4.50 times 100. So it's 450. So we have 450. So divide both sides by 375. So cancel this, cancel this. So this is going to be 450 divided by 375. So divide by 375. is actually 6/5, which is 1.2. So this is 1.2%. Remember, the rate is measured in percentage. So now we've gotten the rate. It's now time for us to calculate the I. We say find I here. So if we're going to find I, the rate here is going to be 1.2. So with this, so for I now in this case, it's going to be, I is equal to P times R times T over 100, which is set as, what is our P? Our P is now 250 naira. So 250 times R now is 1.2 times T, the time now is 0.5. So 0.5 over 100. So let's multiply it and see. We have 1.2 times 250, then times 0.5. We have 150, right? Over 100. So 150 divided by 100 is 1.50. So it's equal to 1.50. So this is the interest in naira, right? So I can come up here and write it. Therefore, the I now is 1.50 in naira. So that's the answer. So with this, our answer will be A. Good. Let's move to the next question. So the last question we have here, that's question 40, says 3 boys share some oranges. The first receive 1/3 of the oranges, and the second receive 2/3 of the remaining. If the third boy received the remaining 12 oranges, how many oranges did they share? So now we don't know the number of oranges, right? So let the number of oranges be X. So right. So if the number of orange is X, remember the first person, so we're going to say the first, receive what? 1/3 of the what? The oranges, which is X. 1/3 of X. So if you open it up, it's going to be something as 1/3 times X. Balance is going to be X/3, because 1 times X is X and 3 times 1 is 3. Then the second receive 2/3 of the remaining. So now one thing you need to understand is that it's the remaining. So the remaining of these X now. So we're going to say for the second one now. For the second one now, that means we have to get the remaining first. Then we'll write 2/3 of that remaining. So we're going to say remaining now. It's going to be the orange minus the first one that we've subtracted, this one here, 1/3 X, because this is the first person have taken X/3, right? So if you want to get the remaining, we have to subtract it from our main number of orange. So if you do that, you balance this one with 1, take the LCM, of course, because the denominators are different. So this one is going to be 3. 3 into 1 is 3. 3 times X is 3X minus 3 into 3 is 1. 1 times 1X is that 1X. So which is going to be 2X, because 3X minus X is 2X over 3. We have this. So this is the remaining. So for the second person now, we said it took what? Receive 2/3 of the remaining, which is what? 2X/3 now. So which is going to be of means times, so times 2X/3. So this is going to be, multiply the numerator. 2 times 2X is 4X/3 times 3 is 9. We have this. So this is the second person, right? Then the third boy received the remaining 12 oranges. So the third person received a total of what? 12 oranges. So how are we going to get the total number of oranges? Of course, by the time we add all the first person, the second, and the third person, we're going to get the total number of oranges, right? So this, which will be, so that means the total orange is equals to this one here. Add this x over 3 plus this, sorry, this one here. So it's going to be 4x over 9 plus these 12 oranges, plus 12. So we have this. So if you solve this, you balance this one with 1, balance this with 1. You can take the LCM of everything here, and the LCM here is 9. 9 into 1 is 9. 9 times x is 9x. Is equals to 9 into 3 is 3. 3 times x is 3x plus 9 into 9 is 1. 1 times 4 is 4x plus 9 into 1 is 9. 9 times 12. So let's use the calculator here. 9 times 12. Of course, it's 108. So we have 108. So cancel this. Why? Because there is presence of equality sign. Whenever you take LCM and there's equality sign, you cancel it. So we are now having a linear equation, which is same as 9x is equals to, now 3x plus 4x is 7x, then plus 108, right? So collect items. This 7 will move to this place and it will be minus since it crossed the equal sign. So it's going to be 9x minus 7x is equals to 108. So 9x minus 7x is actually 2x is equals to 108 divided by 2. So this cancels this. So 108 divided by 2 divided by 2 is 54. So therefore x is equal to 54 oranges. So from our option, the answer is B. Alright. If you have been following, you've done yourself a nice job. Remember that learning doesn't stop here. If you want to explore more and get higher marks, you explore more of the past questions, right? As I earlier said that the exam is just a repetition of questions. They just modernize some, and some they just fix it. They just put it. If you will go through your past question answer, you will see that these questions are repetition. So in this case, try your possible best to practice more. And if you need more of these videos, you can check the channel. And if you want to support it, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. So till then, see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.